Hi, my name is Aldrin Abastillas. I really wanted my documentary something about music because I play a couple instruments and I'm into a lot of different genres of music. Right now I'm currently studying jazz piano at Penn, so I choose that as a starting point. I also live in the nearby suburbs of South Jersey, so I decided to find out more specifically on Philadelphia's own jazz scene. During the 1950s and 60s, Philly used to be the hotspot for a certain kind of band called the Organ Trio. So I sought out local jazz musician Lucas Brown, who's been playing the organ for several years now, and interviewed him to find more about jazz in Philly in the past and present. So first off, can you describe what an organ trio is?
Well, traditionally it's organ, guitar, and drums. The organist supplies the bass, using their left hand and their foot. So it replaces what a bass player would be like in a regular trio or quartet. This is a Hammond B. This is actually an older organ. It's like a BV, so it's pre-B3. So a couple things about this are different, but the main important thing are these, what we call drawbars, right? So on a Hammond organ, you use these to create a timbre, like each one by itself just sounds like a note, but when you combine them, it's like, if you know anything about acoustics or the harmonic series, combining different overtones gives you a different type of timbre. So the traditional jazz setting that Jimmy Smith kind of pioneered is pulling out these first three drawbars, and then we have a thing that's called percussion that gives it this little kick at the beginning of the note. So we combine those and that, and then this setting over here for the bass sound, and that's how you get the jazz sound. There's a rotating horn in the top, and then the drum at the bottom, so when you turn it on, it starts to animate the sound, right? So the jazz, you hear the organist, well, not just jazz organists, all Hammond organists that use that for an effect too, right?
So can you give me a brief history of the organ trio in the city? I know it goes way back. So,
yeah, well, I just know that there's a great lineage of organists from Philadelphia. Jimmy Smith is kind of the father of the organ. He's from Norristown and grew up playing around the area. But there's a lot of other guys even older than him. Wild Bill Davis and Bill Doggett played organ and were from the area and played Atlantic City, and then at the same time as Jimmy was Jimmy McGriff, and so many great organs. There's just a great tradition of it. Shirley Scott is from Philly, Charles Earland, Trudy Pitts, then later generation like Joey, and this is before my time, but in the 60s and 70s, a lot of rooms had an organ, so that soul jazz thing was happening, and Philly was definitely a spot where it could be heard a lot. So yeah, it's steeped in the tradition. Even if the organists aren't necessarily around, there's still guys that played with them. I had the great fortune of playing with Bootsy Barnes, who played with Don Patterson, who isn't from Philly but was here for a long time, and he played with Jimmy Smith and a lot of great organists. So, even playing with those guys, younger people like me can learn about the tradition and what the other guys were doing. Be hit me to what I should be doing to make it sound right.
So I know you used to play other instruments, so what made you gravitate towards this particular ensemble?
Well, I love the sound of the organ. Like the first time, I was actually studying jazz guitar in high school, and I first heard the organ. Like I was already pretty into jazz at the time, and I hadn't heard it before. And then I was doing a performance and with Settlement Music School, because we had an ensemble there, and Joey DeFrancesco was playing after us, like as a featured performer, and that was the first time I ever saw like organ, and I was totally blown away. So I kind of got into it after that. Now I'd already played piano, so I could like at least have an understanding of how to play the keyboard instrument, but just hearing that was really, I don't know, something about it attracted me.
So is there anything in particular about the Hammond organ itself as an instrument as opposed to just the regular keys?
I know the sound and like the soulfulness, because it was like really grooving and just like really swinging. I like that aspect of it, like playing the bass lines. Like some people probably think, like, oh man, it must be a drag to have to do that extra thing, But for me, it's a lot of fun, like just to be able to swing the band, even just as an accompanist, not even talking about soloing, just sitting back and playing the organ.
I also ventured out into a local bar in Center City to experience one of these bands in action and film Lucas's own organ trio, the Three Blind Mice.